Hey guys, just finished watching Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, Episode 15, Rise and Shine. What an episode this was. This was a really good episode. Not as good as the last episode. Last episode was really good. Probably give that one like a 9 out of 10. This episode was was really good on its own. I guess I give this one probably 7.5 and 8 type thing. Give it an 8. So we start off with we get S.H.I.E.L.D. telling Phil about that she's Hydra, and Phil's pretty close to figuring that out type thing, that she's clearly not just a general. And then she tells him about how Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. needs to team up. And then the rest of the episode, most of the episode, we get the S.H.I.E.L.D. flashbacks, and we see young Sitwell there. That's really cool seeing that. And then we get Whitehall's also there. It was really cool. We got him to come back too. And Whitehall ends up forcing her to have to birth a new leader for Hydra, which is obviously Ruby and stuff. So that was really cool. Then we get the Ruby stuff where she doesn't want to kill her dog, which her mother has gone through and everything, which kind of like they did with Ward in the first season, where he was forced by I forget the guy's name, but he's forced by like what's his face to kill the dog after he spent the time with it to build that relationship to it. And once your relationship is so strong, then kill the dog type thing to eliminate weakness and stuff. And Ruby doesn't do it, and it's unclear if she ever does it because she was told to do it right during Captain America: The Winter Soldier at that point. So that was really cool with that. Although it feels like it's a little bit longer than 3 years since Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but whatever. It's interesting with that. We find out that General Talbot was taken over by Hydra after the LMD of Daisy shot him in the head, and he was kind of going crazy, and because his mind was a bit off and stuff, and his family kind of don't know where he is or anything like that. So that's interesting to see where that's going to play off, where things go with him. We get Hydra. We get a reveal that Hydra, or we've seen it before, that Hydra made a deal with the alien to protect their planet from a war coming up, and obviously that's going to be Thanos coming. But it's unclear what race of alien. We don't really get a good look at him. Phil does meet the alien, but it's unclear as to what race he is, and it doesn't look like Phil recognized what alien he is, because he calls him the man in the shadow, or the alien in the shadow. So I think it would be cool if it turns out to be it could be a Skrull. It could look wonder thing and turn out to be a Skrull once those rights come back, because I'm not sure. It's unclear how, since this is in the cinematic universe connected to the movies and stuff, how does the cinematic rights work? I know for the X-Men TV shows, they can do stuff here. They can do stuff on TV. The Marvel is in charge of the TV stuff because they own the TV rights. So I'm not sure if they're able to do things like using Skrulls and all that stuff that they're not allowed to use in the movies, but they can use it in here, technically in the same universe, but they'll never be able to go in the movies because the TV rights until this Fox thing kind of gets finished up. So it would be cool to see things like that, and if they're starting to set up, Skrulls and Captain America and Captain Marvel, and with the reveal that we got this week of Agent Coulson returning to the MCU, to the movies with Captain Marvel, and in those, we're not sure if he's going to be, most likely he'll be mostly in the flashback. We do have confirmation that movie will take place mostly in the 90s, but if the beginning or middle, or at the beginning or end type thing could be, someone retelling that story, or it could be the end could be a modern time with Coulson, and maybe with Nick Fury type thing. That could be a cool thing to set her up for Avengers 4, since we know that Captain Marvel will be in that. So it'll be cool to play with all that, see whether or not he's going to be part of this, and see if some of this stuff ends up being teasing some of those things. Because if it is Skrulls, and we do know Skrulls are going to be in Captain Marvel, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not how that plays on, how they're going to use that information to play into here, as to does Coulson has already met Skrulls and all that stuff. Has he already met these characters here? Does he already know about Skrulls? Does he know about that going into this? I think that could be really cool to do that. And if there's going to be playing with Skrulls there, why not do the same storyline during the same time, and setting it up for next season to doing Skrulls in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. while they do that for the same movie. So I think that could be a really cool idea, and having the same story and having a connecting episode clearly with him having around could be quite cool. And it was interesting with this episode how they had him not really in. They didn't have much of everyone in it. Everyone had a couple of scenes in here, but the main S.H.I.E.L.D. cast wasn't in this one a lot. So it kind of gets me interesting with that. We do still have a few more episodes. I'm not mistaken. We do have we're on episode 15, but we still have a few episodes. So we're on 15, and we're going to all the way to 22 this season. So I think that's really going to be cool to play with that and see how things go. If I'm not mistaken, they already obviously are finished filming all those episodes, and he's able to go over to Captain Marvel, spend the whole summer shooting that, then go back to S.H.I.E.L.D. type thing, which is awesome with that. So that's going to be fun to play with that and see how that kind of goes. So we'll have to wait and see who this guy is, but maybe he could be setting up some sort of invasion, and we'll see where things are going with that. And also the interesting stuff is when Phil ends up actually pretty much agreeing with he tells General Hill, yeah, you're trying to work with these aliens and stuff and hire them to do this stuff, but how do you know they're not going to turn on you and they're going to be the ones attacking you type of thing? And she agrees with that. Yeah, that's my plan, is to send someone in who's who can get an idea and get a lay of the land of what's going on, not just believe these aliens and put all their chips in them. So, excuse me, it's really going to be cool to play with that and how that's going to play along. And he pretty much agrees with her until she mentions the whole destroyer of the world type thing. And that's when he connects it to, from the future. And they know that the destroyer of the world does end up destroying the entire world. And this may not be Daisy, because it looks like Ruby is supposed to be the one that it was originally designed by Whitehall to be this destroyer of the worlds. And I think it's really interesting to see that. And so we're going to see where things are going to go. It looks like now, at this point, Hale wants to use Daisy as the new as a quick destroyer of worlds type thing, because she can control the gravitonium and all that stuff. I think that's a really interesting idea. Play with all that, but yet Ruby, if you look in the next episode trailer, really wants to be the destroyer of the world. So there is a chance she might not be all that. And I think it's really going to be cool to play all that, and it kind of it sets. There's no proof from the future that Daisy is the destroyer of worlds, and then we get some other stuff later on going. We find out that Halbert, told Hydra everything because he couldn't wait any longer for S.H.I.E.L.D. to come get him. May ends up making Fitz use his Hydra knowledge to try and fight Hydra, but he can't do anything unless he has access to a computer, and Skye won't let him out of her prison for what he did to her. And then we also get Simmons and Mac giving Yo-Yo her arms, taking the robot arms and giving it to Yo-Yo, and it looks like it's she says it's working, and then we do see in the trailer for next week's episode that she is working them. She's using it to punch a punching bag and stuff, so it'll be cool to see that, see how strong she is. That'll be fun to see something like that. It'll be quite cool. And it would be cool to see if Yo-Yo gets these robot arms, to see Deathlock come back and have him join the cast as a permanent character. I don't know why they haven't made him a permanent character. Every time they have him appear all the time, and the actors, I don't think the actor's busy on another show from what I know, but it would be cool to see him permanently on the show. And it's different than someone like Ghost Rider, who is constantly CGI and probably expensive to do the Ghost Rider thing, but having him and Ghost Rider kind of needs to do his own thing, but yet I don't see how Deathlock can't just stay on the team permanently. Maybe he's an overpowered character, but bring the overpowered character, keep him on the team, and bring your stories up to his level type thing. So turn everything up to 11, so that having him on here doesn't make it overpowered. So I think it would be cool to see someone like him joining here, or at least to give Yo-Yo some tips and help her train to use her new arm type thing. Would be quite fun to see that. Then we get the end there, the big reveal that Simmons tells Fitz about how Deke is their grandson, and how they're inseparable. There's nothing going to happen to them. It's set in stone that they are going to be together no matter what. And I like that idea, because it's going to getting annoying, another thing to happen to Fitz and Simmons. It's kind of like, at least at this point, you have so many characters in this show. Just let these guys be for a little bit. You want to do something with them, give them a season or two of nothing, of just the two of them, and don't push them. Now that they're married, set in stone type thing. Maybe when Deke dies or something, that's when the things start kind of messing up, because they don't know how long they have. But it's really going to be fun to see where things go with all that. And maybe do they know when's Deke's birthday type thing? When is his mother's birthday? And all that stuff. So when does time go? Because it's going to mess up with time and them knowing when to do that. Or do they be careful up until then? Or do they, if they know that, if Deke says, "Oh yeah, my mother was born in 2025, whatever," then that's when they know that, well, okay, we don't need to be careful until then, because we're not going to get pregnant until that time. And then they accidentally get pregnant beforehand. What happens with that? How does things change up? And if Skye is not the the Destroyer of Worlds, does that mess up time, and how does things go with all that? So it's really going to be cool to play with different things like that, especially, some people not believing in time and wanting to believe in time for one stuff and another thing and stuff like that. So they're going to be cool to see where things go with all this. I think it's really going to be fun to see where things go. And again, like with the whole Clark Gregg joining Captain Marvel and stuff, I really can't wait to see how that kind of set that up now. Who knows if at this point they knew when they were filming this episode, they knew that he was going to go over and do that movie. But I think it's going to be cool to see where things go with all that and how things are going to connect with this. And hopefully we can set things up, and hopefully this war coming up will be Thanos, and it's going to be interesting to see if this army that Hydra is in contact with, this alien race, if they end up being one of the Black Order, one of the Black Thanos' children, or the Skrulls, or someone that connected to the Avengers Infinity War movie. Hopefully it is something like that can be their connection, and we can have like one of the little Thanos. If Thanos has dozens of alien armies enslaved in his control that are under his control, under his leadership type thing, maybe this can be one of them that where he sends his army to he has, because if I'm not mistaken, Infinity War might be taking place on not Apocalypse, but Titan type thing, where on Thanos' planet Titan. So I think it would be cool to see him just open up using the Infinity Gauntlet, open up a portal, send a race of army to Earth, and then Tony be like, damn it, we can't leave this, we can't leave this fight to go save that and stuff, but we gotta fight him. We being stuck as to what to do, and then you have Coulson jumping on the screen, which is a footage that was filmed on the set of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they don't need the IMAX cameras, because it just be a little square of his face inside of Tony's helmet type thing, and I think that could be a cool thing to do. And then it kind of just pops up. He's just kind of a holographic version type thing, just like that holograph we see in the trailer of Vision that What's-Her-Face has there, actually Black Panther's sister has. So maybe it could be something like that he sends over that doesn't need to be expensively high max camera, doesn't need to go to set for. He could have filmed it on the S.H.I.E.L.D. set. So I think hopefully we can get something like that, and that would be really fun to set things up. And hopefully we'll have to wait and see when we get our episode or how that's going to work out, especially since they kind of moved they brought the movie up forward, to April 27th rather than the May when it was supposed to come out. So it's really going to be fun to see where things go with all this, and I can't wait to see where things go, especially with Fitzsimmons and their grandson and Deke, and how that's going to play on, and what is everyone else going to think of all this stuff with Deke being their grandson, And we still don't have any continuation from last week's episode, where at the end of it all, when Deke ends up telling Simmons that she's his grandmother, she ends up throwing up, and that kind of, saying that she's probably pregnant. She never says anything about that to Fitz. And I know it's the theory, obviously she seems like she's pregnant, but maybe could that have just been her nerves were finding out that information, or because it was awfully coincidental for her to throw up right after that. I think if they wanted to set her up as pregnant, they would have had her throwing up last week's episode, building up to her finding out that, she's she finds out she thinks she's pregnant, and then Deke tells her that, and then she's like, oh damn, I'm pregnant now. Wow. Whereas at this point, it was a interesting way they did it, how she threw up in last week's episode, how we didn't focus on it. It was far away in the thing, and it happened so fast that they didn't pay much attention or mark it by having it full screen. That she turned around and threw up. It kind of backed out of the shot type thing, and then it cut out. So it's something really, really easy to miss type thing. They made it kind of a little bit easy to miss in last week's episode. So it's going to be interesting to see where things go with that, if she actually is pregnant, because it would be something cool to see. And I could see her being so worried about different other things that, she starts throwing up, different things like that, have all the symptoms, but she's so busy worrying about, dealing with Yo-Yo and her arms and, closing the different stuff and all that stuff, and working on a cure for Coulson, who's ultimately dying still, which we still haven't had anything new on that front, that she kind of completely ignores, completely misses her own symptoms because she has too much going on type thing, too much thinking about, and Fitz and all this stuff, adding more to her plate, and she's kind of missing the obvious symptoms that she's had. She just thinks it's a stress thing or something like that. So I think that could be cool to see where things going with that, and having her pregnant could be an interesting idea, but I wouldn't want to have her pregnant too early, because I don't want it to at what point, if they become pregnant, are they going to be like, okay, that's it, we're done, and they're going to go live happily ever after and, leave the team and stay away from danger and just live a suburban life on their own type thing and not stop fighting and all that. So I think that's going to be interesting to see where things go with that idea. But at the same time, if they don't do that, they don't, whenever they have Deke's mom, and I don't want them to leave the show. At the same time, I don't want them to have the kid and then be stuck, having a kid on the show and bringing a kid around with them on their adventures, because I think that would kind of slow things down and be, oh no, we don't want to do this, and them having a kid kind of hopefully they can have a kid, like leave the kid for later on. You want to give them a kid, don't give them a kid till S.H.I.E.L.D. season 10 type thing, and then that kind of is a better idea. I just think it's way too early at this point for them to have the kid, because it would just be a nuisance. It would be something holding them back all the time from going out on the field. It was something like this, or they'd want to leave the Coulson and all their team just to stay away from danger type thing and go live a secret hidden life where they can protect the kid and all that stuff. So I don't know, but at the same time, if they both believe in this world is set type thing, there's nothing that's going to happen, that they could, stay around, having the kid around, and figure, well, we're fine, we're invincible, just like Yo-Yo thinks she is. So I think that's really going to be cool to play with all that and see how do they end up breaking the time loop, stopping the world from being broken, and then anything could happen. I think it's going to be cool to see how things go with that. So I could see them, if they do have the kid type thing, how is that going to play out with all this? I think it could be an interesting idea, but at the same time, I think it could be also interesting idea to see. What if she gets pregnant, gets really, really, really pregnant, and then all of a sudden she loses the kid, and something that Deke never knew was that his grandmother lost a pregnancy type thing, and that's what kind of sends everything a shockwave. Even they knew time was set in stone, they didn't know there was information that Deke didn't know, that his grandparents had lost a child type thing. I think that could be a cool idea too, to also bring them. It puts stress on the relationship, but without putting stress splitting them apart. Because that's one thing with the Fitzsimmons that's kind of annoying, that I didn't want them to do again, especially with this Fitz kind of problem going on, and Hydra Fitz, with kind of them being split apart again. And it kind of annoys me when they finally get together and they get split apart again. Another strain to put on the relationship would be them having a child, and that kind of ultimately dying, even though they thought they had all the confidence in the world that it was going to be fine, it was going to be perfect, it was going to be okay, because it was set in time, but they didn't know that it was too early for it to be his mother. It's too early for that to be, Deke's mother and all that stuff, and that they didn't know that they ultimately will have one that doesn't work, and then another one, because who's to say that this one has to be, the only child that they have has to be Deke's mother type thing. There's no reason why they couldn't have a child and that one not make it, and that's, the next one is Deke's mother in another couple of years. So if they're going to do it that way, I think that could be a cool idea, but at the same time, I don't want them to have a baby on the show, just because I think it would slow them down, and it would be an anchor too much, and it would slow things down too much for Fitz and Simmons. Although we do want that ultimate goal, but I don't need to see that in the show. Save that for season 10, maybe, if you want to do that. But all in all, this episode's really going to be fun to see where things go with that. Maybe it could just be something, maybe just her reaction to him, to finding out about that news, kind of threw her for a loop, and it was just a little thing. Maybe she's not pregnant, but we'll have to wait and see where things go with that. And there's nothing about it here, so I'm kind of leaning a little bit more toward that idea, since if we don't get any mention to her, she doesn't throw up in the next episode, or any mention or something tease about her being pregnant in next week's episode, then I probably we'll assume that it was just her reaction to finding out that Deke is her grandson. She just threw up at that idea type of thing. So I think that could have been the idea, but we'll have to wait and see where things go for next week's episode. So let me know what you think, guys, about all this in the comments below. Season 5, episode 15, S.H.I.E.L.D, Rise and Shine. And let me know what you think about Clark Gregg returning as Agent Coulson to the Captain Marvel movie. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?